Well, the United States says it's conducted precision strikes on targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The US Central Command said it hit 5 targets in underground Houthi bunkers. Houthi militants have been attacking shipping in the Red Sea and launching drones at Israel after the Hamas terror attack sparked Israel's invasion of Gaza last year. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a statement that long-range B-2 stealth bombers were used in the attacks. Well, for more on this, let's bring in Marina Miron, military analyst at King's College London. Marina is joining us from Munich. Good to see you, Marina. So this is the first time the US has used the strategic stealth bomber to attack the Houthis in Yemen. To what extent may this be seen as an escalation?
Hello, Pablo. Well, what we have to understand is the fact that the US used the B-2 Spirit bombers is symbolic. Correct. They are not used very often. This is a first use since 2017. And these are nuclear-capable bombers, which cost about $1 million apiece, and the US has only 19 of them. So we have to appreciate the significance of using such a stealth bomber to deliver the precision strike, which is... It seems like an overkill because the Houthis do not have sophisticated air defenses, and this bomber is made to operate in a contested environment. Therefore, on the one hand, the US is showing its commitment to Israel. Which ordnance was used to destroy those underground weapon storages, because it seems to be like a signal to Iran, and specifically to Iranian nuclear facilities, which are said to be located underground and are hardened targets. Therefore, a bomber with a range of 11,000 kilometers and the only one that is able to carry a massive ordnance penetrators in order to destroy such targets could be potentially engaged. So I think this is a sign to Iran after Israel response, which are still being awaited. Iran has to choose carefully how they respond, because in the worst case scenario, the US could go after Iranian nuclear facilities.
Marina, the US is sending THAAD air defense systems and troops to Israel. It feels like something bigger might be at play.
Well, absolutely. Military speaking, of course, we have seen the 2 strikes that Iran has conducted on Israel. And it's not so much the sophistication of what Iran has used, but the actual amount and what it costs to shoot everything down to avoid damage. Therefore, deploying THAAD will strengthen Israeli layered air defense. And the US perceives it as needed because, again, the US is anticipating a potential Iranian response as a response to what is to come from the Israeli side, while at the same time trying to kind of navigate the murky waters and convince Israeli leadership not to target Iranian oil and nuclear facilities. On the other hand, we have to also understand that the US has deployed its soldiers to Israel to operate this air defense system, which means that it will become trickier for Iran, because if there are any US casualties as a result of its strike, this potentially could draw the US into the war. And so we have these 2 components, again, as a strategic signaling to Iran in terms of US readiness and US capabilities and US commitment to support Israel.
Now, the office of the Israeli Prime Minister has pushed back against media reports that Benjamin Netanyahu gave assurances to the US president about limiting its retaliation against Iran. Does Washington have any real leverage at this point?
Well, I think what we have seen so far is that US is trying to demonstrate commitment to Israel in order also to have Netanyahu back down and choose a more proportionate response rather than going all out, because I think there is this big fear of escalation that could involve the entire Middle East. And especially now, Iran has also been practicing a lot of diplomacy, coercive diplomacy, if you wish, against other Arab states to tell them not to let the US use their airspace for any kind of military operations. So I think that this is a sign to Israel as well as a potential attempt to tame Israel. Whether that will work, we don't know. It remains to be seen, but I think that Israel will still try to go for the maximum, even if it's short of targeting oil fields and nuclear facilities.
Thanks, Marina. Military analyst Marina Miron.
Thank you for having me.